Hello, Serge here from the Backyard Driving Range. All right, we have a question that came in at customer service, and this one comes from Joe Purcell. And Joe says, I'm in Bremerton, Washington. We are playing in 37 to 40 degree weather now, and it's wet. Could you comment on which balls to use for older players? I'm 79. Have been using a Bridgestone 6, but distance is poor. Is there a big difference? And what is the impact with harder balls, cold, near frozen, and wet balls? Can't find where you have addressed this in the books or videos. Thank you, Serge. Joe Purcell. Okay, Joe, I'm going to now read an answer that Doc Griffin put out on the site to him, and I want to expound on it a little bit more. Doc Griffin came back and said, unfortunately, in cold weather, you will lose distance just due to the temperature. Absolutely, positively, can't help it. Plus the fact the ground is damp, it's wet, balls are going to hit, they're going nowhere. So basically, it's almost all carry that you're going to be getting in that kind of weather. So however far you carry it, that's it. You can expect almost a 20% decrease in distance at the temps you are experiencing. With lower club head speeds, soft cover and soft core balls are extremely important. The firmer the ball, the more club head speed needed in order to get the ball to compress on the club face and rebound with sufficient ball speed. Absolutely. Excuse me, back in the old days, when I'm talking the real old days, back before probably no later than the early 90s, we had what they call compressions. They had hundreds, 90s, 80s, and maybe even 70s that they call ladies balls. Now back then, I would play hundreds in the summertime. Then when it got a little bit cooler, I'd play 90s. I'd play 80s at the most in the wintertime. Okay, so that's what Doc's talking about. But now they really don't talk about compressions anymore, although I thought I read something about somebody starting to talk about compressions again. So, but what they talk about is the covers. Are they harder or softer? How many covers do they have, and things of that sort. So Doc goes on to say, it's like hitting a basketball with a bowling ball with a sledgehammer. The E6 Plus is a great softball, and I use it in the winter. However, I'm only 58 and probably have a bit higher club head speed. This is Doc talking. All right, Doc Griffin. I would suggest that you try the Wilson 50/50, which is also available online now. It's actually 50 compression. Here's one right here. I took it out of my bag for this. I play this ball in the winter because right now, I'm standing out here right now, and it's probably 45 or less. The sun's gone behind the clouds, so the temperature's dropped a little. But in the wintertime, I go down to lower compression balls. The Wilson ball is also, he says, inexpensive ball. Another good ball would be the Precept Lady. All right, I have one of those here. Although it's really not, they call it really the Precept Laddie. About 5 or 6 or 7 years ago, when I was still playing a lot of golf in the Carolina Senior PGA tournaments, some guys we don't play the one ball rule, so we can switch balls on a tee. But once you start the hole, you got to finish with that ball for the whole hole. I saw some guys that get the par 5s and they started pulling out these Precept Ladies. At least they called them lassies then, lassies and laddies, and they were just getting 10, 15 yards more. Why? Because they were able to compress the ball. The ball squashed more in the face, so it had for their club head speeds, it was a softer ball and it was going farther. And there's so many guys starting to use it. Precept actually took the same ball and just started selling. As far as I know, they took the same ball and just started stamping it with Laddie, so that hopefully more guys would play it, not instead of playing the Lassie. Okay. So with golf balls, more distance is significant when you're talking 5 yards on a driver. It's not extravagant distances that most golfing populists think. The difference from the distance leader golf balls and the next closest is less than 3 yards in robotic testing. I hope they shed some light on you, and my best to you. Now, I play another ball, so I think the best thing is to start reading the packages on balls and start buying balls with softer covers, especially if you're a senior, and especially if you're playing in cold conditions. All right, and even in the summertime, I think that if you're playing a ball that's too hard for your swing speeds, you're never going to feel like you ever hit a solid shot. And so much about golf is just kind of feeling the sound, that you hear a good compression of the ball, and you know the difference between a nice click and a thin and clunky click, all right? And you want to get a ball that feels good on the club. It doesn't feel like it's rattling your hands, all right? I also play the Titleist NXT Tour S. They also have the NXT Tour Regular. They got a velocity ball that I think is pretty good, and they got a ball called a DT Solo. And like the Wilson Staffs, the Precepts, those Srixons, they're all probably under $30 for a dozen, versus getting into the Pro V1s and all the other top line balls of the other companies, which are going to be up there in the high 40s or maybe even 50s. So those balls just don't do it. I hit Pro V1s and I lose distance. I just can't compress it anymore. And so I want to feel the ball that when I hit it, I feel it squash on the face. I feel like the ball is on the face, so I got more control of it, and to me, my eyes told me it springs off the club a little bit better, and I get a good launch. So you want to stay with the softest coverage you can find that you can compress the ball, and especially when the weather gets cold. All right, because it's all about airtime, it's all about distance, and when it's cold, and then the other good thing about that is now you can use hand warmers, but you can't use hand warmers for your ball. So what I normally do when it's really cold, I'm going to keep 3 or 4 balls in my pocket, all right, and really keep them close to my body, and I'm going to switch off every hole to a new ball, because a warmer ball will go farther too. So you can't put it in a pocket if you got hand warmers, or like in your mittens if you got hand warmers, but you can't do that with the ball. But you can keep the ball in your pocket, which will keep it a lot better than just leaving it in the cart where it's going to be a lot colder to the outside air. So you might want to do that. Keep balls in your pocket and switch balls every hole, and make like 3 balls and switch every 3rd hole. And with the ball, so it's got at least 2 holes in your pocket to keep it warmed up a little bit, and it'll feel even a little bit softer when you hit it. Okay? So it's important to find the right ball. Keep it warm in the wintertime, especially in the wintertime. Keep them warm and use the softer cover or lower compression balls. All right? Well, that's it for the search for today. Talking about balls or equipment, just like clubs need to fit you, your balls need to fit you. So read your covers on the labels, on the boxes of the balls. Find those softer covers, and I think you'll find that you're going to have a lot more hits, feel more solid, and more solid, more straight. It's going to help you shoot those lower scores. That's it for the search for today, and I'll be speaking with you all again soon.